All right, let's talk about something that trips up pretty much everyone, even seasoned writers. It's this sneaky little grammar rule about compound subjects. It feels like a linguistic puzzle, but trust me, by the end of this, you're going to have all the keys you need to solve it, no problem.
So let's jump right in with a classic. Ham and eggs is a regular breakfast, or ham and eggs are a regular breakfast? They both sound kind of right, don't they? This is exactly the kind of puzzle we're going to crack today. And to figure it out, we first need to get to know the main character in our story.
And that character is the compound subject. It's really just a fancy term for when you've got two or more subjects, like our ham and eggs, and they're linked up by a joining word, a conjunction, and they're both doing the same action. Seems simple enough, right? Well, this is where the plot thickens, because it all depends on which joining word you use.
Okay, let's start with the big one, the most common connector of them all, the word and. This is our first clue, and it's a huge one. It seems really straightforward, but there's a crucial little twist you've got to know about.
So the basic rule is super simple. You connect two subjects with and, you treat them as plural. Think about it. The man and the woman are co-chairpersons. 1 + 1 = 2, so you use a plural verb. Easy peasy. But grammar's never quite that easy, is it?
So then what do we do with a sentence like this? Cheese and crackers is a favorite snack. Wait a second, that's two things, cheese and crackers. So why are we using the singular verb is? Well, this is the twist. Sometimes two things joined by and act like a single unit, one single idea. And you can really see the difference here. On one side, you have two totally separate things. The newspaper and the radio station are plugging our concert. Makes sense. But look at the other side. Her friend and mentor believes she will win. Here, the friend is the mentor. We're talking about one person. And that's exactly why we say ham and eggs is a regular breakfast. We think of it as a single dish. So the key here, it's all about context.
Okay, so we've got and down. Now let's check out what happens when we use or and nor. These follow a totally different rule, and honestly, it's a pretty elegant one. I like to call it the proximity rule.
You're going to love how clean and simple this rule is. When you have subjects joined by or nor, just forget about the first subject. The verb only cares about the one it's standing right next to. Yep, the subject that's nearer, the one that's closer to the verb, that's the one that dictates everything. So, how do you nail this every time? It's literally a two-step process. First, find your subjects connected by or nor. Second, you only look at the subject that comes right before the verb, and then you just match the verb to that subject. That's it. Let's see it in action.
Check this out. In this sentence, the verb is right next to the word players. Players is plural, right? So the verb has to be plural, are. The singular coach, way back at the beginning of the sentence, doesn't matter at all. The verb is only listening to its closest neighbor.
Now watch what happens when we just flip it. Same two subjects, but now the singular noun coach is the one that's closer to the verb. So what happens? The verb becomes singular, is. Neither the players nor the coach is commenting. Seeing them side by side like that really makes the proximity rule click, doesn't it?
All right, we have just one final piece to this puzzle. There are a few, let's call them power words, that can pop up before a compound subject and just change the entire game. Think of them as a singular override. Whenever you see the words each, every, or many sitting in front of a compound subject, I want you to immediately think of this number, 1. That's it. These words force you to think about the group as a collection of individuals, one by one by one. And since you're thinking one at a time, the verb is always going to be singular. So here they are, the words you gotta watch out for. Each, every, many a. It doesn't matter if the subject looks plural, like every plate and cup. These power words step in and make the verb singular, as in every plate and cup has a chip in it. So let's take this sentence. Each boy and girl has a locker. Now, boy and girl are joined by and, which we know would normally make the verb plural. But see that little word each? It swoops in and overrides that rule. We're thinking of them one by one, so each one of them has a locker. The verb is singular. Simple as that.
And there you have it. You've got all the clues. The code is officially solved. So let's pull this all together into one simple, easy-to-use cheat sheet, shall we? Okay, here's your big takeaway. When you see and, it's usually going to be plural, unless it's a single unit like mac and cheese. For or and nor, just remember the proximity rule. The verb always agrees with the subject that's nearer to it. And finally, if you spot each, every, or many a, boom, the verb is always singular. It's the ultimate trump card.
So we've totally cracked the code. You are now equipped to handle pretty much any compound subject that gets thrown your way. But this brings up one final question. Now that you're in on the secret, are you going to start noticing these little grammatical things, or maybe even errors, all around you, in ads, in emails, even in conversations? Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Thanks for tuning in.